Of course, Donald Trump continues his line about the tariffs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, today, a few days ago, I released a piece, I think it was about 11 minutes or so, that explains exactly how tariffs work and why it is that the president really needs to have it. It has a lot to do with his tax reduction bill. He wants to stiff the American people so that he can collect enough money to pay the rich people off with their tax cuts. That's not hyperbole. That's a statement of fact. Now, that said, Professor Justin Wolfers of the University of Michigan actually has an example to show us exactly, not just in theory, what's going to happen when these tariffs come into effect. He actually has the numbers of what actually occurred, because it's not like Donald Trump hadn't done this tariff things before. I mean, not this grandiose, but hadn't done it before. He did it with washing machines. And the thing about it is, while you do it with washing machines with the expectation that you raise the prices of the foreign washing machines so that your industry, whose natural price is likely higher than the imported product, would actually make more machines, put it more into the ethos, and have a good adjustment for their pricing. The exact opposite in the long run happened. And the reason why is, in a capitalist society, none of this stuff is for you. It is always to maximize profits for the shareholders, and maximizing profits for the shareholders for an American company after they get a tax break in the form of you paying a tariff. Because remember, when you pay a tariff and you buy that washing machine, you're paying twice. But that is for another day. That is for another day. But anyhow, I want you to listen to the professor, and then we'll take it on the other side.
This morning, President Trump's tariffs are back in effect for now as the legal battle plays out. The whiplash rulings threaten to destabilize a pillar of the president's economic agenda. The Trump administration maintains that they are confident they will win this appeal, and they insist that these tariffs will help American businesses and consumers. Right now, we're going to fact check that claim. The Trump administration maintains that companies will eat the cost of tariffs and this will have no big effect on consumers. What actually determines who bears the brunt of the tariffs?
Like everything in life, Anna, this is supply and demand, but let's talk about it in terms of choices. So say the president puts a $100 tariff on washing machines. That would immediately mean that an American had to pay more. Now, you might go back and you'd say to Samsung or LG, boy, your washing machines are more expensive. Could you eat some of the cost for me? That's what the president hopes will happen. And it really depends. Does that foreign company have a lot of other options? If they could sell that washing machine in the United Kingdom for a pretty good price, why would they offer you a lower price in order to sell it in the United States? So if that's the case, if the washing machine company has lots of other options, then you, the American consumer, is going to end up eating the higher tariffs. The thing the White House is hoping for is, let's say the washing machine was one that could only be sold in the United States. Maybe it doesn't meet European regulations. Now I say, hey, can I have a discount, or else I can't afford to buy that washer? Well, Samsung's already made the washer. They can't sell it elsewhere. So they might have to offer me a discount. They eat the cost, therefore, in order for me to go ahead and buy it. And so who eats the cost is all about who has the most other options. This is where it's important to remember, America's only a small part of the world. We think we're big, but often these big companies have lots of other countries they could sell stuff to, which is why they're less likely to volunteer, or quite unlikely to volunteer, to eat the cost of the tariff.
Let's stick with our washing machine comparison, because in 2018, Trump actually placed a 20% tariff on imported washing machines, which he then later rose to 50%. So what happened? What impact did that have on American consumers and companies? It's
a great question, Anna, because we just went from talking about economic theory to what happened, empirics. And the short version of this story is that in 2018, President Trump put, roughly speaking, a $100 tariff on imported washing machines. Very quick, only on washing machines, not on other equipment. And so very quickly, what you saw is, in fact, that washing machines rose in price by $100. So there it looks like American consumers had to pay the full amount of the tariff. A couple of years later, the tariff ended. And all of a sudden, washing machines fell in price by about $100. So you've got two experiments there that show in that particular case of washing machines that every dollar of the tariff got passed on to American consumers.
One big argument for these tariffs is that it's going to encourage people to buy American. Did that work back in 2018?
Sort of. So let me tell you the first problem. Sometimes people say, oh, if they put tariffs on foreign goods, it's easy to escape that, just buy American. But actually what happened in 2018 was they put tariffs on foreign washing machines. And so very quickly, LG and Samsung raised their price the way we just described would happen. And guess what happened to the American-made washing machines who didn't face the tariff? They discovered their competitors had jacked up their prices by $100. So you know what they did? They jacked up their prices by $100 as well.
Yeah. So I guess the bottom line here is what is the key takeaway in terms of how much Americans will pay when it comes to tariffs?
Right. So the professor in me has to say it depends. Remember, what it depends on is, does the seller have a lot of other choices? Does the buyer have a lot of other choices? But remember, America is not the whole global economy. So when we're talking about global trade, more often than not, the seller has lots of other markets that he or she could sell to. They're not going to bother cutting their prices to sell to Americans when they could just sell them abroad. So a very simple rule of thumb is, for each $100 in tariffs, you, the American consumer, will end up paying probably $70 of it. The company that you buy it from, the American company, say Home Depot, well, they might have to reduce their margins by a little bit, say $15, and that reduces their profitability, which of course affects your 401k. And it is true that there is a kernel of truth to what the president says, which is that often we get the foreign sellers to reduce their prices. Maybe they eat 15% of the cost of any tariffs.
The professor nails it. But I think the professor was a bit too cautious because he's saying, well, if this happened, look, we know what's going to happen. We know that in a capitalist society, the corporations will not eat the cost, even if it takes them a little bit before they start increasing the prices so that this tariff stuff is out of the mainstream media. And after it leaves the mainstream media, they slowly ink the prices up and overshoot to recover what they didn't recover from when it was hot item under the media. That's what they're going to do. So, my brothers and sisters, the fight isn't to wait until something happens. The fight is to prevent it from happening in the first place. That means ensuring that we minimize all the evil deeds that will come from the big, beautiful bill, meaning we try to stuff it all together. And if we can't, we force them to do different. But whatever the case is, landslide in 2026 is a must to ensure that whatever passes this administration can be overridden thereafter. It is a must. We got to do it, folks.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.